Lord Almighty, I feel my temperature rising because it's time for another episode of the Teacup for One Oscar Movie Marathon. And today we are discussing Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. I am so excited to join all of my guests and to join you, all one of you. It's probably my mom. Oh, no, I thought the number was going up. It's not. Well, thank you for watching, those of you who are here. My name is Matt. Hold on. My name is Matt and I have 2 degrees, and welcome to yet another week of the Teacup for One Oscar Movie Marathon, where we get together once a week and then just chat about some of the most prominent Oscar contending films of this year. Already this year, we've talked about Avatar, The Way of Water, which has no beginning and no end, and that's what it felt like sitting in that theater, let me tell you. Last week, we talked about, I can't even remember. Oh, the Fabelmans. Yeah, or the Spielbergs, as I like to call it. And today, we're talking about yet another biopic, except this one's fully a biopic. And, well, is it? Who knows? We'll discuss that. It's another Baz Luhrmann fantastic film filled with bazzmatazz and potentially a Best Actor Oscar-winning performance, but all of that will be discussed in due time. So let's see who we do have here joining us in the chat. Oh, already we have 5 guests. I love this. Okay. Hello, Royal City Pops Guelph. Always a pleasure. Eliza, my cat. Love you. Sabrina, the other cat. Adore you as well. Martha, my mom. Love you. Thank you to the family and the cats and the Funko Pop community supporters who are here. And what do we have here? Oh, Yoda for Mark is here. Yoda for Mark. Are you my mom? Martha, are you secretly Yoda for Mark? That would be hilarious. All right, everyone. Let's bring in our guests for this evening, starting with, it's Jeanette, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, Jeanette. Welcome. Thank you for joining us yet again.
Yeah. I'm excited to talk about this movie.
I'm excited to talk about this movie as well. So, quick question: favorite Elvis song?
Favorite Elvis song? I think "Suspicious Lies" or
"Suspicious Minds."
Minds. I always say "Suspicious Lies." That's because that's how I sang it for years until I realized that was not the lyric. But yeah. Or I would say honestly Viva Las Vegas.
Oh,
I find
Viva Las
myself
Vegas
singing
is so fun.
pretty often, even though I've neither been to Vegas nor do I think that's really one of his best songs, but I'll say it because I sing it all the time. I don't know why.
I hear that song, it just makes me feel like I'm in Vegas, which is an experience. I have been in Vegas, but I was 8, so I haven't experienced Vegas the proper way. But I hear that song and I feel like I have.
Right? No, exactly. I'm like, I've been there by proxy. It's fine.
Yeah. And it also reminds me of the Flintstones and Viva Rock Vegas.
Oh
which
my
is
gosh.
a totally different thing, but I love that movie.
Movies.
Those movies are so good. That's the movie that introduced me to Jane Krakowski, and we love her.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yes, she's a star. Speaking of stars, let's bring in our next star. It's Lisa Alves, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Lisa.
Nice to be back.
Welcome back. Happy New Year. I'm glad we could talk Elvis with you.
Oh my, well, I am named after his daughter. So
Are you actually?
This is a big deal for me. Yes.
Aw.
Yeah.
Aww.
I know. Rest in peace, Lisa Marie.
Rest in peace, Lisa Marie, indeed. So same question, Lisa. Favorite Elvis song?
So my dad was a huge Elvis fan, so I grew up with all of his songs. But currently, Can't Help Falling in Love is my all-time favorite. It's my partners and I's song together. So yeah, it's that one.
Such a good one. I think Lilo and Stitch got me into that song. I think I heard the cover in Lilo and Stitch and then went back and heard the original and thought, this is it.
That one is really great. The cover this is a wild one. But the cover that The Conjuring has, I think it's what's his name? Patrick Wilson. Is that his name?
That's a person.
Yeah. I don't know. The guy on The Conjuring, he plays it on guitar in the horror movie The Conjuring.
Oh, yeah, he does.
And
yes, he does.
Beautiful thing ever.
You're right. That might be one of the best parts of that movie. So
wow.
If it's scary, I haven't seen it. So
I think it's the second one, the second Conjuring, which
there's more than one. How many times do they have to conjure?
There's a whole universe, Matt.
Can't handle it.
I know. Anyway, if you want some Elvis covers, check out that one.
The Conjuring. Deal. Will do. All right. And let's bring in our final guest for this evening, making a triumphant return to the channel. You know him. You love him. It's Ben Gordon, everybody.
Lord have mercy. Wow. Remember when he does that? With the microphone? He takes the microphone. He goes, wow. Lord have mercy. We'll talk about that when that happens in the movie. But thank you for having me.
And it's so good to have you. I love having you on the show. I love having you on the channel.
I love being on your show, Matt. It's a delight that you asked me specifically to come in for the Baz Luhrmann Elvis episode. This is very exciting for me. I've been looking forward to it for weeks.
So have I. Like, just for context, like Ben and I, we see each other in person at least once a year during the holiday season. And during that traditional holiday dinner that we had last December, Ben told me about how Elvis was his favorite movie, I think, of the year. Not to misquote you, Ben, but I think that's roughly what you said.
That is correct. Elvis is my favorite film of 2022. And if you had asked me prior if that was even remotely possible, I think that you would have gotten a pretty firm no from me. And so I was so delightfully surprised. But what was crazy was that I saw it once and I was like, I think that was pretty good. Like, I was pretty convinced by it and surprised by it. But then I saw it again. And then I saw it again. And then I saw it a fourth time in theaters. And by then I was fully all in on the movie, and there's something in it. It's laced with something that gets people.
Ben has finally lived the existence of a 12-year-old girl in 1997 with Titanic.
Yeah.
You have now lived that fantasy.
This might be my Titanic.
It feels good, doesn't it?
It feels good to have that movie that you can keep returning to and discovering new things about and new things to enjoy about it. And like I said, it was a complete surprise for me how much this one bowled me over. So thank you for bringing me on, Matt. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I have a question for Ben.
Sure.
How big is the Austin Butler poster over your bed?
Well,
Is it?
I've gotten the first panel, and we're going to add to it over time. So, by the time it's done, it's going to be
a mural,
a full mural wall.
Okay.
That's the other thing. And we're going to totally get into it, I'm sure, Matt. But like another thing where like Baz, I wasn't really not all in the bag for Baz generally. And then Austin Butler, I was like, I don't know about this kid. Like, I've seen him and like, I've kind of liked him and stuff, but like wasn't sold by the trailers on him at all. And I mean, we'll talk about his performance, but you would not, it wouldn't be too far off to say that, I could go all in on a big Austin Butler mural.
Yeah. And I would respect you wholeheartedly for that, Ben. Just like, which version of Elvis would you have Austin dressed as in your mural? Like, would it be 50s Elvis?
Comeback
70s?
special.
Comeback special. Okay.
Comeback special in that full leather suit. And suspicious. See, everybody said Suspicious Minds.
Suspicious Minds, yeah.
And Can't Help But Falling in Love with You, which are like, those two are way up there for favorite Elvis song. But I'll also add an American Trilogy because
I don't know that one.
That's the one that he goes, glory, glory, hallelujah.
Oh,
yeah. It's
a true Elvis fan knows that song.
Yeah, digging on those gospel vibes.
Yeah. Oh,
beautiful. So let's jump in the chat. We've got a vote for Blue Christmas, which is one I keep forgetting about till Christmas comes along.
You got to sing about the Christmas. This is a Christmas special. Ho ho, Santa Claus.
It's the most Italian Dutchman I've ever seen.
I can't wait to talk about what Tom Hanks was doing.
Oh yeah.
What? Okay.
Oh yeah. That's a discussion.
That'll come up. Suspicious Minds. There's a Corey Hart Can't Help Falling in Love. Evidently,
really
love that. What does Vince have to say? Excited for the review. The movie was a messy fever nightmare that wouldn't end.
A messy fever. I agree with.
Yeah.
And, some nightmares are just as good as dreams.
Well said, Ben. So poetic.
Wonderful.
Love the Elvis trick. As long as you start singing on a lower note, you can just well your pitch to the correct note. 100%.
It's true. That's very true, Bob.
What do we have here? American Trilogy is on. Oh, that's a fun fact.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could have gotten Austin Butler on this.
Could you
on this
imagine?
stream.
Just
I know.
special guest where he's like, I can't ditch the voice. The voice is still in me.
Oh, you didn't hear? He's like actively trying now.
He's trying
Like,
not to. Yeah.
It was
Uh,
very
know, I
funny
think-
on SNL. Like,
Oh my
him
gosh.
just them making fun of him.
Yep. And SNL. The best part was that there was the Elvis sketch where he didn't play Elvis, and it was Jewish Elvis, and he was
Jewish
in the
Elvis.
audience. That was amazing.
And he
I
was like,
loved-
Jewish Elvis.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so good. Okay, so let's start talking about the movie. Let's do a quick go around and just say our first impressions of the film upon the first time we've seen it. Now, like, has everyone seen it more than once, or have we only just seen it the once?
I've only seen it once. I did not
Okay.
rewatch, but
Once, seen it twice. Ben, how many times have you seen it, Ben?
I
5?
rewatched it today.
Okay.
And so I'd seen it in theaters 4 times, which is pretty unusual for me. And then I watched it at home once, so 5 times now.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought you saw it in theaters 6 times, but still, 5 times. 5 times. total.
Maybe
Pretty good.
I can remember 4. Maybe
Okay.
I saw it. Yeah, 5.
It just blends together. So I guess, yeah, just first impressions of the movie. I liked it much more than I expected to, because I'm always very hot and cold on Baz Luhrmann. I go into his movies thinking I don't like his movies, and then they sometimes surprise me and sometimes confirm that I don't like his movies. So yeah, like Great Gatsby, even though I feel like the popular opinion is that that's not his best, it's my personal favorite. Baz Luhrmann's William Shakespeare's Romeo plus Juliet, I warm up to it every single time I revisit it. I despise Moulin Rouge, and I haven't seen Australia. Yeah, I said what I said. Longer discussion for another time.
Whoa.
And I like, he has the thing that he does, and I think it worked for what this movie was. And I feel Austin grounded it beautifully, and I also think it was such a smart choice to do a biopic of Elvis through someone else's perspective, even though I don't like the performance that Tom Hanks gave us of that character. But the structure was there. I loved the structure, and I think it worked. And Austin, just chef's kiss. Jeanette, first impressions.
First impressions, right off the bat, I liked it more than I expected to. Not because I have preconceived notions about Baz Luhrmann. I love Romeo and Juliet. I think that was probably the only way to make that relevant to me at that age. So that was nice, and I still think it's a beautiful film. Moulin Rouge, I don't like either. Never seen Australia. Great Gatsby's, like, I've never seen the whole thing. It's okay. So, like, I didn't go into it with that. I don't know. Biopics that are not just true biopics, I always think are going to be ridiculous, and they're going to, like, highlight all of the mess and the yuck. So first impression was I was pleasantly surprised that it was much more tasteful than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be a big music montage of all the times he screwed up in life. And while they have to show those things, they did not show his death scene. They didn't overly show a lot of drugs. They didn't show, like, it wasn't as messy. And that made me happy. I liked the amount of Baz Luhrmann in this movie is perfect. I like a music montage. I like a music video feel to things. It doesn't put me off in any way. So I liked that. And I thought that the acting was great and that it was heartfelt. So
Nicely said. Lisa, first impressions.
I did not like it at all. I saw it this week. I was like meant to go see it when it was in theaters, like go to the drive-in with my mom, my dad. That never happened, and I'm really happy I didn't spend money on it. I was actually disappointed it wasn't as messy as like they made it out to be, because in my mind, like, Elvis's story is a messy one, and I was like, feels like so like glossed over on like how like awful it like actually was with like the drugs and like his health conditions and all of that stuff. So I was actually expecting that. And like we can talk about Tom Hanks, but like that was a tragic mess. And like I don't know what's happening with his career. Like everything he's doing just sucks now, in my opinion. So I'm very excited to talk about his character in this. And I think the biggest reason why I disliked it so much was the editing. And I've never really paid attention too much to editing in movies until I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once a month ago. And like that, like we'll watch it, we'll be talking about it in a few weeks. But like that is an amazing film in terms of editing. And I was like, oh my God, they're doing so much. And I was very overwhelmed. So yeah, first impressions, no, it's going to be a no for me. And it's like up there with Peter Pan 2003.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's
I'll throw this in
statement.
on Lisa's statement about it not being messy enough. I'll say this. I'll suffix what I said before. The thing that I was a little disappointed in, I thought that they waited till pretty late and really didn't go that hard, like she said, about his weight. Like, we got Tom Hanks in this big suit, and then I'm like, he was a little bigger than this. He was a little bigger than this.
You
what
put
you're
Tom
showing
Hanks
us.
in a fat suit and prosthetics for the whole movie, and you're not going to put Austin Butler in a fat suit when he is 39, 3 years from his death. That is not correct.
That part I will agree with that. So yeah.
But they did. I won't interrupt. But they did. They had him in a lot of. They had him in a lot of prosthetics. But those prosthetics, they were more subtle in the late stages than they should have been.
I think that's what I mean.
too
Like they were
subtle.
there. They were
Yeah.
there.
Subtle
They
for
just.
me.
But they did do excellent prosthetic work throughout the movie that really
Yes.
blows my mind in terms of
Yes.
how they changed his face, and we'll get into that later. But
Yeah, I do think like the makeup is amazing for sure.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Really wanted to see Austin Butler fat. 'Cause that was Elvis. Elvis was a large man at the end of his life. That's all. I'm just saying.
Ben, opening statement.
First impressions, like I said earlier, very pleasantly surprised because like some of you here, not the biggest Baz Luhrmann fan. I always usually find him overly bombastic, and it's just hard. It always separates me kind of from the core of the thing that he's trying to get at. Hashtag put Austin Butler in the fat suit, yes.
Make it trend. Make it trend.
And so I came in very, very reluctant, and I had heard kind of a polarizing response. And like you, Lisa, when I first watched it, especially the first like 30 or so minutes are such a whirlwind. And the movie is structured as such where there aren't really many conventional scenes. It's almost working at a constant. It's almost like a song. It's almost structured like a song. It has kind of this constant momentum in these peaks and valleys. And it's this kind of flowing montage that like rarely ever kind of slows down. And I think what kind of surprised me about this overall was that because I also, to be frank, like I didn't care about Elvis Presley that much prior to seeing the movie. And this movie made me really care for and empathize for Elvis, and to also really appreciate his music and his place in the culture, where I was just always like, oh, he's the king of rock and roll. Like, great. You know, it was almost too big and monumental of a thing. And so what I really appreciated about this movie coming out of it was that the subject matter and the director for me seemed to kind of like, it was like his sensibilities finally seemed perfectly fused with something for me, where that kind of really kinetic, kind of musical, very big, kind of larger than life choice, overarching choice was the correct choice. And I'm going to say the word choice a lot because I think that almost everything in this movie is very, very considered. And that includes, you know, the editing, and it includes Hanks's performance, which is like the, you know, Penguin and Batman. it's a big choice, but to me, he meets the movie where the movie is demanding him to be. Because if it was more restrained, if it was subtler, then I think it would feel out of place for the kind of energy and tenor that Baz.
You just said what I've been thinking.
Yeah,
like I couldn't get past it. I couldn't get past Tom Hanks.
Yes.
I couldn't get past the performance. And then I was like, but in a Baz Luhrmann film, if you're playing like you're in a Christopher Nolan film, it's
right.
That's not gonna work. Like that's not gonna work at all in this.
It is
if you're trying to be too intense or too mild,
right.
or I did think, yeah, you do need a caricature almost.
And you need
in
to,
his
yes,
movies.
and he needs to be a caricature, and he needs to be like someone that you're really frustrated by. And so another first impression was for me feeling frustrated through a lot of the movie until it got to, and I know we'll probably break it down, a little bit more specific, but once it got to the 1960s and almost leapfrogged an entire decade within about a minute and a half, to the late 60s. Like he returns from the army, and then he's like, we made movies, we had a lot of fun, and then all of a sudden they're doing the special.
Totally glaze over his movie career.
That was what taught
Geez.
me. That was what taught me what this movie was doing. Because at first I was like, I can't get into Elvis's headspace. Like I can't really understand truly his interior life in this movie. And then I was like, wait, no, I'm being told this story by like this guy, this like Batman Penguin-esque like monster. And he's an unreliable narrator. He's lying to me. He's implicating me. He's like, it's you that did this to him. And I'm like, Tom Hanks, leave me out of it. But as I started to gradually understand that this movie is a prism, that it's not like we talked about kind of like in the intro, like a typical biopic, but something a little bit more skewed, and it kind of, I feel like, very deliberately separates us from Elvis's interior state and turns him into kind of a product, a commodity and merchandise, like the Colonel is all about when he's like, I invented merchandise. Like to me, that separation was what made the movie special, and what made it, because it falls into so many, Lisa, like you said, very like kind of tropey, like glossy biopic beats that we're all so used to. And for whatever reason, it hits those beats like all of these other movies do, but it hits them from a different angle, I think. And by doing that, it kind of elevates the whole thing and makes it extremely unique and like fascinating to me. So
everything that you just said like really gives me like a different, like it changes my perspective in the way that I see the film and why I dislike it. And it's because it's from the point of view of his manager, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I wonder if like the manager was just a secondary character and it was actually Elvis as the caricature, or someone else in his life that was that for the Baz Luhrmann-esque film. I wonder if it would have hit me differently as an audience member and someone who like just wanted the man in the story, like I was left feeling so disappointed, but because of the container that it was built upon, that's what it's kind of supposed to do in a way. Like it's supposed to not give you the full picture.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that you said unreliable narrator, because I do find that I like when movies do that. Like the one that I can think of the most is A Clockwork Orange, where like that is an unreliable narrator. Like he's going to tell you what he wants you to hear, and it is your decision to look at it and decide, is this what I believe, or is this going to be? And I think sometimes if you don't get okay with that early in a movie, it gets either uncomfortable or weird, or you just feel like you don't understand. Sometimes like that's happened to me where I've watched a movie and not known that's what's happening, and it took a rewatch to be like, oh, that's an unreliable narrator. I need to watch this in a different way.
Yeah, no, I think the reason I like the unreliable narrator, which I kind of said in my opening thoughts, is I think Elvis is such a difficult person to play and to put on film when played by someone else. Like he's someone like Marilyn Monroe, who I don't think I haven't seen the Marilyn movie with Anna because I'm uncomfortable and don't want to watch it. But I think for the most part, people like that are so iconic in terms of like being icons of either film or television, just people that were so used to knowing what they look like and sound like. I think they're nearly impossible to emulate, specifically older folks like who have been iconized.
Yeah.
That's the word. Iconized so much over the past like 50 to 60 years that having that level of division, I feel, helps a lot.
Would you venture to
Yeah.
say that people who are in that position we almost are more familiar with their stereotype or their caricature than we really are with the actual person, especially people
Oh,
of
yeah.
our age who
Yeah.
didn't genuinely grow up with that. Now,
Mhm.
I will say, and I would love to know this about everybody here, I think that the role, some people have Elvis fanatics in their life. It sounds like maybe Lisa did. I definitely did. I had an aunt who had like all the collectible plates, all the spoons, all the like the whole house was Elvis, like the entire house. And I think if you grow up with someone like that in your life, or like maybe if you just were familiar like with him before, you might have a way around that. But I think for a lot of people, they're more familiar specifically with Elvis and with people like Marilyn Monroe with their caricature than they are with the actual person.
Mhm. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like I didn't really have any prior Elvis knowledge aside from like mostly truthfully from Full House. That was my introduction to
Oh
Elvis was through
yeah.
Uncle Jesse. And then
Yeah.
also because where like my family and I used to rent a cottage near the Wasaga Beach area growing up, and there was a giant Elvis festival there that happened every year. So
Yeah.
I
Nice.
like grew up seeing a bunch of Elvis impersonators. So I very much was like raised on the stereotyped vision, as it were, of Elvis. And I feel like this movie humanized him in such a great way. And I definitely felt like I was seeing someone that was true to the person that created the stereotype while still being a vulnerable human being. And like comparative to like I keep comparing it to Marilyn Monroe because I've seen a few movies with people playing Marilyn and it never works for me. And I think maybe she's a different case. I think she was just so subtle in everything that she did that it's near impossible for someone to accurately recreate that just because she was like a one of a kind person that was just for film. But with her, I feel people like Michelle Williams in whatever that movie was, My Week with
My
Marilyn.
Week with Marilyn.
Yeah,
I
that's
never
the
saw
one.
that.
It was okay.
I love that movie.
Oh yeah, and I thought she was great. I just didn't
Did
feel
she
like I
play
was watching
sad
Marilyn.
Marilyn?
She did. Yeah, she played
She
sad
played
Marilyn.
sad
It was
Marilyn.
sad
She was sad
Marilyn.
Marilyn.
Because that's what Michelle Williams does is
It is,
play
and she does
sad
it so
people.
well.
Yeah.
Like she's Marilyn looking down all the time and like
Mhm.
mumbling to herself.
Whereas
sadly.
I feel like the people who've been successful at being Marilyn Monroe
Mhm.
aren't trying to be Marilyn Monroe. Like
Mhm.
Anna Nicole Smith was like
Yeah.
the closest thing to Marilyn Monroe as far as like looking and affecting. Like it was like, and she wasn't really trying to. Like, I don't know. I just think that's a funny one. You're right. Nobody ever really hits it on the
Hits
head
it.
when they're trying.
But this like reminds me of when we watched Being the Ricardos last
Oh
year.
right.
Oh god.
And how like that director was like, I need like Lucille Ball to not be Lucille Ball in this
Mhm.
movie. Like it
well, you
needs
succeeded in that.
and yeah, completely
Sure.
succeeded because like yeah, you can't create like a copy of this person
Mhm.
for whatever reason. And I actually do think like Austin Butler was great. Like his look, his interpretation, like he was Elvis. And I just wonder, if there was more scenes like the scene where Priscilla left him, all like on the staircase and like she's just like giving it to him and he's like, don't leave. If there was more scenes like that throughout the movie where we got to see Elvis in his relationships, I wonder, I feel like I would be more in love with the overall movie of it because he was a really good Elvis. He's not a
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman playing a Lucille Ball. He really embodied the guy. So yeah, it's very interesting, like trying to capture the person that we all know and are fanatics over. So
He will do things in the movie like they'll just be like a subtle like in towards the I mean not to jump too far ahead but like just like when he's like getting on the plane at the very end he just gives like a little smile to the fans and like there's just little things that like made me feel like so deeply for this like mega famous icon who I had no real prior personal investment in. He really makes him into like a human being in a movie that is continuously trying to push him into mega stardom and kind of like a godlike figure, but he grounds it in and captures that electricity but also really makes you feel for him, I think, very deeply in those little scenes we get that are a little bit more sort of personally rooted, I think.
Nicely said. So I guess, well, we're basically talking about Austin Butler now. So, I mean, if we haven't kind of touched on it already, what do we think really makes his performance as Elvis work, or just his performance overall? Because the more we talk about it, the more I think that the reason this movie works for me, where some Baz movies don't work for me, is because he is grounding it in a way where no matter how ridiculous it gets, he's still kind of my anchor. And I think to like Moulin Rouge, I don't really have that. What else? I feel like I got that in Great Gatsby, which is why I like Great Gatsby. So yeah.
With what character in Great Gatsby, may I ask?
I mean, I only saw it the one time in theaters and I remember liking it, but I feel like Toby was like blah enough that he was able to counter how big everything else was, and also Carey Mulligan can do no wrong. So just the combination of the two of them, I thought. And I don't know the book at all, but I felt like Leo was just really well cast as Gatsby. So there was that as well. So yeah, what do we think it is about Austin's performance that's so noteworthy? And that, because like he is pretty well the front runner, I feel. Feel free to disagree or give.
I hope so.
I think he's a front runner because I feel that this is one of those kind of once in a lifetime / generation type of performances, because he's just doing so many things. He's playing Elvis through all stages of his career. He like nailed the accent almost too much, as we've established. And even just thinking to what like the performances when Elvis is on stage, like that's the stuff that I find so captivating, just seeing how into it he is, like with the dancing, the singing, everything. So
I think he really, and I mean, when people ask him about the accent, I think this has been part of his answer before too, is he really got into the like he studied him. Obviously he has to, it's his part, but I think he really genuinely cared. I think he found a story and a person and a life that he cared about. And maybe, you know, like there's people that I never met in my life who I've studied and stuff since then and have found and felt that way about, right? Like, and I think maybe most of us can probably say that. And I think that shows in a way that it doesn't show for some of the other performances that we're either talking about or thinking about. And it's harder with some people, right? It might be easier with someone like Elvis that does have so much to love and so much to look at, and his life was so documented. So I think that shines through when he's performing.
I feel like, you know, I try not to be too harsh about a point of comparison, but it's easy to kind of like hold Bohemian Rhapsody next to Elvis and like make comparisons just because they're both kind of approaching this, like, you know, the iconic either band or musician. But with someone like Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody, I feel like he kind of leans into like physical traits, but like it might not even entirely be his fault. But I remember in that movie, they gave him these like giant teeth that I just felt like were so like they were doing a little too much work or something. Like he almost couldn't even talk with the teeth in his mouth. And, you know, it just felt like I just didn't feel like he was really kind of on a soul level, really connecting. I mean, I can't speak for Rami Malek, but I just felt like, you know, Austin Butler, like you were saying, Jeanette, like it feels like he was really personally invested in this man. And I think found a lot of personal parallels. I know he's talked a lot about his own kinds of insecurities of being very introverted or very shy performing. And I guess that I think that Elvis in some ways like started like that too. And he would use his own fear and apprehension that he describes Elvis feeling at times, and he would like kind of manifest it, you know, and kind of use what he felt like were his limitations kind of as internal strengths to kind of play off of. And so I think what you get are, especially in the scenes where he's performing, someone who's just so alive and in the moment, and really electrifying and like interacting with the audience in like very specific ways where it's not just like, oh, I'm dressed like Elvis Presley and I'm singing a song, you know, it's like he's connecting with every
that's a good point. He was not he wasn't chewing up the scenery.
Yeah.
He wasn't depending on his wardrobe. He wasn't depending on his makeup. And to your point about Rami Malek, I feel like he was trying to act through the makeup either.
Right.
Those lips did not look fake. So
Right. And also, Matt, Austin Butler's very handsome. He's an attractive man. You know, he's got.
No, you don't say.
Why?
He's very attractive. Yeah.
He's a hot guy, you know, and so it's easy to watch him do this and to take on. I think another thing that really just made this performance stand out to me was that we moved through about 3 decades, and he's so convincing as a 19-year-old, but also as a 30-year-old.
Yep.
The way that he holds his body, specifically kind of walking into the comeback special when he's got that leather outfit on. They did. Yeah, it's the walk.
The walk.
He's got that kind of swagger, you know, where it's different than what he was playing scenes ago, but you're buying into his physicality kind of changing and shifting over time. And I think that he, even in the kind of like, sort of smaller gestures, really like creates unique distinctions like between the eras, and that really helps as well.
Ben, I love that you said it's easy to watch him, as in like it's easy to watch hot people just be, which is like
it's easy.
It's easy to watch hot people be hot, like
right.
Where's
the lie?
Yeah, there's no lie in that. 100%. I agree with everything you and Jeanette have said. Like he didn't rely on just his looks, because he does, like, out of makeup, like just his bone structure looks like Elvis when Elvis was like younger. Like that's the God-given stuff he has. But he didn't rely on it. There was no forced caricature that like they gave him in the writing. Like he just had to, connect and do what he did. And I think like it was a strong performance. And I was like thinking, who else could be Elvis in this? And I can't think of anyone else that I know of in Hollywood that could have done it and pulled it off with like such great skill. So like he's great. Of like the 5 people who are nominated, I'm still hoping that like The Whale takes it in this category.
I know. I haven't even seen it yet. And I'm like, but I kind of hope it's Brendan Fraser.
I was going to ask if you guys are talking about The Whale in this series.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
Towards the end,
it's coming.
Okay, because I have very like passionate thoughts about.
Oh, Ben, come back.
Well.
Come back
for it.
I haven't watched it yet.
I'm so excited to go see it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I will. All I'll say for now is that I'm not going to implicate Brendan Fraser at all for the experience of watching that movie. I think he does exactly what the movie needs him to do, and you feel very deeply for him. And as an actor, I think everybody is very, very excited to see him have this kind of, I mean, he's been acting consistently, but just kind of in smaller stuff, acting in TV. And now he's kind of being sort of put back into kind of the main spotlight. And I think people are saying like, we missed you so much, and so that is something worth celebrating for sure.
I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm just biased.
I don't want to get too far down it, but it is what you call it. It is Aronofsky, so I mean, it's like
it's a comeback. Right?
Definitely
interested in that.
It's Aronofsky.
But I will say, in terms of like Austin's career, I'm really interested in seeing what he does after this. Because it's such an iconic role. He looks like Elvis. I'm wondering if he'll get like trapped in like this.
He's going to be Fade Routha in Dune Part 2 this fall.
Oh, is he?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
There
you go.
He's going to be like Shah Halud, Mama. The Maldives.
I just hope like the whole voice thing
going
is
to a rap.
Weird. Like when he was hosting SNL, I was like, I hadn't seen Elvis at that point. I was just like, who is this guy? Why does he have such like a deep voice? He looks like he's 21. Like, what is wrong with him? And now like I'm connecting the dots and I'm like, okay, he's got this thing going, whatever.
And
I
he's
hope he
making
loses the voice.
Yeah, he is making a pretty successful departure, though. He's already doing one major breakout because if I'm to understand correctly, he was a Disney kid.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
let's be honest.
Sharpay's,
Yeah.
Sharpay's Fast Adventure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's be honest. That's not usually a easy or smooth departure for many people involved in that. So
True, though.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the Carrie Diaries. I love the Carrie Diaries. Sex and the City
What?
fans.
Okay.
Prequel, right?
Oh,
But
I
yeah,
thought it was like
he was,
Carrie,
in the-
like they're all gonna laugh at you, Carrie. I was like, what is that?
No, like Sex and the City. Like it was a prequel to Sex and the City.
That's wow.
The
Good for him.
telekinetic
Highly
girl in
recommend it.
junior
Go
high
down
I
school.
thought it was the Carrie Diaries, and I was like, what
No.
is that?
You thought like with all
What
the
mashup? Oh my gosh, we don't deserve
Can
it.
you imagine?
Now
but-
I can, and I want it.
But yeah, no, I hope he doesn't get stuck in it. I'm glad they chose.
I mean,
him.
worse things could happen than him being typecast as a James Dean type, bad boy rocker.
But he should do a James Dean
I
biopic.
was gonna say he's gonna be in the James Dean biopic now. Although I think
Elvis
he's too
wants
old
to
now.
be. He
Well,
wants to be James Dean. He's like,
Yeah.
I want to be like James.
Yeah,
Dean
exactly.
in the
I'm like,
movie.
you're gonna get. Oh no, you get typecast as a James Dean type. Oh no,
It would be so meta if that happened.
right?
well, that's one of the things I was thinking was, I question if he'll do more beyond this. Like, I'm sure he will, and I'm sure he'll keep working. Like, obviously, he's in Dune 2, which good for
Can't
him.
wait.
I'm angry that I have to watch a second part of that damn movie.
Yeah, it
But-
was long, but it's
Yeah.
gonna be nice. It's gonna be
It's,
gorgeous.
I don't know. We'll see.
But he's
The
gonna be
quick-
talking to Stellan Skarsgård, floating around and all like washing himself in oil, and it's gonna be great.
I'm still angry that I had to learn what a Kwisatz Haderach was, and I still have that
Kwisatz
knowledge
Haderach, mama.
occupying part of my brain.
Oh my gosh, I still remember trying to spell Kwisatz Haderach.
Exactly. But yeah, like the conversation between him and Brendan Fraser, my thought is that I think Austin, I would personally cast my vote for Austin just because, as I said, I think this is like a once in a lifetime / generation performance that he's putting in, where just all the circumstances lined up. Like he was the right age, it was the right role, it was the right film, just everything kind of aligned perfectly. Whereas Brendan Fraser, I can see doing more Oscar worthy performances going forward. And I
We can
question
only hope.
if, oh, absolutely. And I question if Austin will do the same. Like, I think he'll try, but then you also see people like Daisy Ridley, for example, who's like not able to do much post Star Wars just because of
Yeah.
how in the public eye that was. And maybe it'll be different for him since he wasn't in Star Wars and it's not a franchise. But I guess kind of off topic, but semi-related question. What do you feel is the criteria for an Oscar-worthy performance? Like if you were able to cast a vote, what are you looking for?
Okay, that's a different question than I thought you were gonna ask.
Mhm.
Because it's like, how is it determined that the Academy votes? Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
no, like I know it's all money and bribery. But if you had the
Yeah.
ballot, if you have the ballot in front of you and you have Brendan Fraser, I know most of us haven't seen it. You have Brendan in The Whale versus someone like Austin versus who else is nominated? Colin Farrell, et cetera, et cetera. What kind of qualities are you looking for in a performance that you would give your vote to? Because there is that level of subjectivity. Like without a doubt, they're all fantastic performances. And for me, I feel like I want to see like truth and vulnerability. That's a given with any performance. But then on top of that, I have such a respect for actors who put in the extra work like Austin did for this to like get an accent down packed, to attain other skills that are necessary for the role. Like I'm assuming there was a little bit of, I know he was already a musician and a singer beforehand, but still like figuring out what the physicality was. Other people that I think of are like Helen Mirren when she did The Queen. I remember watching an interview with her during that Oscar season where she said, I witnessed this about her and this about her and this about her. And then she had this gesture that she kept on going to where she said, the Queen, she's just always in a space of this. And I respect her for this. And I can't remember what it meant, but that was a formative moment for me as someone who appreciates an actor's process where I was just like, you put so much thought into this, Helen Mirren. I want you to win. So that's where it is for me. Like I want to give a vote and an award to somebody who does beautiful work while still having an appreciation for maybe extra things that they had to do just to get there, as opposed to someone who's a talented actor just doing another good performance.
Yeah.
I would. So I think I said it about Austin in this one. I want somebody who gives a hoot about the role itself. Like, even when you play a villain, like they say all the time, you don't have to like them, but you need to find something to either identify with, something to admire, yeah, something that you want to bring out as more sympathetic or whatever. I think you need to care about the role, whether it's a real person or a fictional person or whatever. And that needs to show through. Otherwise, if you just worry about getting their mannerisms right or getting their voice right, I think that it falls on deaf ears much. And we keep going back to this, and I'll keep using it as an example for how two presumably great actors could make a crap movie, and that is Being the Ricardos. Neither one of those people sold me these people that I love, grew up loving. I care about them, and I still can't care about these people. In this one, I'm like, yeah, I like Elvis. I grew up around the idea, but like, again, like I liked him, wasn't direly invested, and then came out of it caring so much more. And then honestly, and this is going to be true in music, in movies, in everything for me, if you can make me cry or move me in some way, you got an extra bunch of points in your corner, because like that matters for me. So
yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Jeanette. Like I have to see that they care in some way about the role that they're taking on, but not so much as like them making me cry or have an emotive response. If they can leave me, like, this is why Cate Blanchett, like, I want her to win, because after I saw Tar, I was like, I felt so complicated about her character and like what she displayed on the screen. I was like, I feel for you, but also you're just so like terrible, and yet like I want to see the best for you. And I think if I'm leaving the theater or like my living room after seeing an actor put me through a state of like, oh my gosh, that love.
I can't wait to see that.
It's so good. But it's also
I love
so bad.
Cate Blanchett is like, I mean, oh God.
It might be
Is
her
she
best
good or is she
performance.
just tall?
I know. My
No.
whole life, I think it's like I found out about like I didn't really remember. I said I didn't really know I was a James Cameron fan, and then like just
right.
when this new Avatar movie came, I was like, yeah, I've been a James Cameron fan my whole life, and now I'm realizing that about Cate Blanchett at this point in my life. I was like, no, I've kind of been a Cate Blanchett fan my whole life, and I never really knew it because it wasn't about her. It was just she's just good all the time.
Yeah.
Like. But yeah, I hear what you mean. Like,
yeah, like
you want to be taken in.
I want to be taken in. I want to literally just be like taken by the neck and like going around for the ride. And I don't think Austin Butler did that for me, even though he cared about his role and I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some scenes where I definitely felt for Elvis, but I was not along for the ride the way that I felt when watching Tar. So that's why I'm really excited to watch the other performances in the other movies, because I think it doesn't belong to Austin Butler unless every other performance sucks. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I will say Colin Farrell like snuck up on me with how good he is in his Banshee movie. Yeah, I was watching it, and I don't even think I knew at the time that the Oscar nominations weren't out yet, but the Golden Globe nominations were out. I was watching it thinking, wow, it's such a shame. He's doing such a good performance. I bet he's not going to be nominated for anything. And then lo and behold, he is / he was. So yeah.
It's a good category this year. I think that I haven't seen the Bill Nighy movie yet. Bill Nighy Living. That's what I call it because it always says Bill Nighy Living. But then we have Brendan Fraser, we have Austin Butler, Colin Farrell, and Paul Mescal from After Sun, who's really good in that film. And also kind of similar to Austin in that his career, it feels like, is really just kicking off in a substantial way, even if he's been acting for a little while. I don't know, actually. I know that Austin Butler's been acting for a while in those Disney Channel films and on Hannah Montana and stuff. But but these are young guys getting nominated. I think to answer your question, Matt, posterity, like something that feels like it's rattling in my brain for days, if I can't get it out of my head. And that was the kind of performance that I got from Elvis, where that separation of being kind of seen through the Colonel's perspective, but still being able to feel so much for the character and to make me care about this iconic, superstar. I want to kind of cite a specific moment, but are we okay to spoil stuff?
Oh yeah, spoil it all.
So, because this is the very end of the movie, but my favorite, it's funny to talk about editing too, because I think the editing in this movie is amazing. Like I was overwhelmed initially, but the more I've seen it, the more that it just flows very, very elegantly to me. But the reason I bring up the editing is that there's a cut at the end of the film where he's singing Unchained Melody. And a lot of biopics do this. They'll cut to archival footage and be like, here's the real person. This was maybe the best implementation of that device I've ever seen in a film, because he's playing Unchained Melody and we cut to a shot of him as a little boy and he's running, and it cuts back to Elvis Presley, and it's the real Elvis Presley. And I did not process the fact that I was looking at the real Elvis Presley for probably about 5 to 8 seconds. Like I was just watching who I thought I was still watching Austin Butler. And in that moment, the two fuse together for me. Like they become inextricable and they become one and the same. And I was so kind of profoundly moved by that edit. and
Ben, you and me both. I was a slobbering baby of a mess during that scene. I was so just no dryness on my face anywhere. I was just
it's
snotty,
incredibly
gross little
moving.
Baby.
It really
so
broke
interesting
me.
to me. I had a completely different reaction. Vince and I were sitting on my couch and we were rolling our eyes. We were groaning. We're like, oh my God, they're doing this.
Oh my gosh, I feel like it's the Peter Pan show where I'm just indifferent and I'm like,
you're kind of in
I
between. To me, that moment that we leave on, that solidified kind of the power of Austin Butler's performance, and it really kind of locked me in for like why he was like the perfect choice for this. It's a tough category in a way, because like I'll be a little disappointed if he doesn't win. I didn't think he was going to, and I know we don't want to jump to predictions too soon, but I will say, to help everyone out, that allegedly the guild screenings of this movie that are happening for like the guilds of the Academy are like, people go bananas. Like they really like it. So I don't know if that says anything specific for like, is he a lock? Like, absolutely not. I think there's like a really good competition. But I am rooting for him just because of what impact I think he had on the movie and on me, the viewer.
Well said. So let's flip to the opposite end of the spectrum and talk about the Razzie nominated performance for Worst Supporting Actor of the Year, Tom Hanks as Colonel Parker.
To him? Oh man.
So that's
otherwise known as it's Dutch fried chicken. That's what I was saying the whole time. It's a Colonel
fried chicken.
Isn't he like Dutch in the movie? Isn't he really truly like?
I don't think Tom even knows what he is in this movie.
Anybody knows.
He doesn't have a passport. You don't have a goddamn passport. 800 shows. Yeah, we don't know. It's not entirely clear.
The amount of times he kept saying snow was
snowman.
See, like I would have. They should have cast. They should have cast Tommy Wiseau. Tommy Wiseau in that role.
Oh my God!
Can you imagine?
Stop. That would have been great.
How just embrace who that character is, and just go for it. I mean, I don't know if Tom Hanks is a good actor after these last few years. I think he's a good actor when he's playing someone who is very close to himself in age and life experience, or maybe not life experience. Like Forrest Gump, I don't like that movie, but regardless, I think it's a good performance because it's just someone who's very, in some ways, age, whatever, similar to him. But then I don't think he's not a Meryl Streep. He's not a Meryl. He's not a character actor. He can't.
I think
do
that's
accents.
the problem.
He's
trying to shapeshift too much at this point in his career. Like you are not Walt Disney. However, you could very easily pass for Sully Sullivan.
100%.
Like you're a kind middle-aged man. That's great. Play kind middle-aged men. Like and it's fine. Like, he is a good actor. That's the thing. And I think the beginning of I don't want to say the beginning of the end, but the beginning of this era we're living in of Tom Hanks started with Cloud Atlas. And it hasn't stopped. The madness has not stopped. And it's not okay.
I haven't seen that one.
He plays like
see
7
that
people
movie.
in it. He plays because it takes place all across time.
Watch that movie. You keep watching it. And
I think it's
sci-fi, but I'm a sci-fi fanatic. Like, I love it. Like, I love the concept. If you wrote that down on paper and I read it as a novel, a best book I've ever read.
It is a novel, isn't it?
It is,
maybe it is. Maybe I need to read it then. Great, wonderful. But I sat down for that 4-hour fiasco, whatever the length of that film was. And I was like, oh, I love you, Tom Hanks. What's happening on the screen right now? And it was one of those ones where he was acting through the makeup. Like, there was a disconnect in that movie. And then, like, I feel that it's happened a few times since then. And this is definitely one of those times where I'm like, I'm not getting you. I'm getting all this. I'm getting whatever this is, and I'm getting none of you. So I miss Tom Hanks in this role. I just want Tom Hanks in this role.
Like, give me a Skarsgård in this role. It would have been so good.
You can give me a Skarsgård for just about anything.
Stellan Skarsgård in the Dune makeup, suspended,
floating.
I think it was my husband suggested Benicio del Toro would have been potentially good for this role. And I felt like that would have been. I saw Lisa perk up. Is that
no?
It was you.
But no. Although I think that would be an amazing choice. Though I was thinking Christoph Waltz the entire time. Does not
again?
Look
You can
like
just
him.
stick him in any old thing.
Stick him in some makeup and a suit. He's got it. Like, he doesn't.
He is a shapeshifter. Like he is like. And that's one. He's one that just every role he's in, he just eats it up like it is him. Christoph, you're right.
Yeah.
Christoph.
And I mean, well, this was basically his role in Big Eyes, but just slightly more over the top.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. A little manipulative. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with Tom Hanks. Look, I've already said my piece. I don't like that it was from the manager's point of view. I wish it was a different take on Elvis's story, but maybe this is a directorial problem. But in the beginning, when he's like dying and he's like going through like the casino of his life, and like he's just like in his hospital gown at the slot machines, I was like, this is gonna be a mess.
There's a jump scare with him. Where he goes, wanna bet? And it's like, boom. And you're like, holy shit. Like,
I'm like, what are we doing here?
And he uses him. Yeah, sorry.
It was wild. And so for like having to sit through that Tom Hanks for almost 3 hours, it was a lot. And I don't know what could have saved it. Like, I don't know what Tom Hanks could have done to have saved it. Because I think he was just doing what he
I think
felt
he's really
was
bad
right.
at accents. And I think we're finding that out now with
The
Pinocchio.
perfect choice for this movie, though. I think it's the perfect choice for this movie because we need to hate him. We need to hate him. We need to not trust him. He needs to be out of place and in some ways out of time. He needs to be a shape that is unusual. And it sounds like I'm
very
kidding.
amoebic.
It sounds like I'm kidding, but I really believe this because I talked about this with a good friend of mine where he was like, next time you watch Elvis, because I know you're going to watch Elvis again, pay close attention to how Baz blocks blocks Tom Hanks in every scene. Because, and that's not to say, oh, this is like either good or bad for Hanks's performance, but it's just in terms of the way that he uses Hanks, right? Where like the first time that Tom Hanks sees Elvis, like they're kind of rehearsing outside, like right before he's about to perform and make all the girls scream. And he's kind of like on a balcony and he's sort of looking through the grates of the stairs. He looms over Austin Butler throughout like the whole movie, or like Baz will put him under the stage during the trouble sequence and have him kind of looking up and through him. Like he's using him almost like like the physicality of Hanks and his kind of over the topness, I think, is used in a very even
They
if
do
we
use
feel
his
weird about it,
shadow
a very
lot, too,
decisive
yeah.
way. Yeah, I think it's a very intentional, weird performance. Like, do I think Hanks is like good in the movie? Am I like, wow, like Tom Hanks is like, this is like one of his best performances? Like, no. But I love how he's used and implemented in the film as this kind of looming, menacing presence. And I do love that I am stuck with him through the movie and seeing everything through his perspective, and how much sadder it makes everything.
No,
It makes
you're
everything
right,
so
though,
much
'cause
sadder.
it's a bad acting performance.
Mhm,
Now, in the end, like Ben's saying, I do think the movie overall benefits from it because he is a caricature and he's like almost like a cartoon character. Like the movie itself, you're right. I don't see a lower level of that working because it would have fallen flat. But the acting, if we're simply looking at the acting.
Oh yeah, no, like I agree with everything that you're saying, Ben. I imagine a world where there's an Elvis movie where the camera blocking and everything is the same, but it's Tommy Wiseau or Stellan Skarsgård or Alfred Molina in those
That,
exact same
yeah.
shots doing a better performance that is an equally hateable character, but I don't hate the actor in their performance. Like, that's the world I want to live in.
I wonder though, like, what you're saying, Ben, about like we're not supposed to trust him, and like he is like this like menacing almost character with the accent, with the costume, with his body, with his face. But is that just too much? Like, what if you just kind of stripped down something and it would have just been like Tom Hanks's performance with a prosthetic nose, right?
I feel
Or
like a
just
little
the
bit less of an accent. Yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit. That would have been, I think it did get distracting.
It got
points.
so
It got a
distracting.
little
And the nose,
distracting.
also the nose got so distracting because we all know Tom Hanks's face, right? So it's like that's really not Tom Hanks. So I'm just, it's also like just like an editing choice. Like maybe there was like everyone on set was a yes man for Hanks and for Baz Luhrmann, and every idea that was proposed for this character, they were like yes, 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 yes. And I just wonder if it would have been beneficial if there was an editor in the room to be like, let's take away this element, or let's just tune this element down so that
in what way would the film be
actor.
how would the film benefit from any restraint is my question. Like is if the decisions kind of all across the board are like, we're going to go big with everything. And there are some things too, like I do think Austin Butler's performance is big when it needs to be and then sort of brought in when it needs to be. I don't know that you can bring in and rein in the Colonel in this movie and the level it's operating on and have that element of the movie succeed or benefit the film. That's what I'm kind of curious about.
I wonder, I think it's because of the container. Like there was no container from my perspective on Tom. Yeah, Tom Hanks, Tom Parker. Like I was confused names.
He's both.
Yeah, he's both. Weird. Yeah, I just wonder in terms of there was a container within the movie of the prism that we're looking into this world in through his eyes, but there was no restraint on Tom the character. And I think art in general benefits from a container of sorts, whether that's big or small, to not aid the audience, but to bring the audience along. And even though we're working with an untrustworthy narrator, I think there is this benefit of not making the audience disdain him so much or being freaked out by him so much. I
love that he blames me for Elvis's death at the end. Like he's like, it was not the pills, it was you. Like I'm supposed to hate this man so much, and it is a weird. I love what we're discussing because it really is that line between performance and character and intention, and like where does it all kind of fit together, you know?
I would liken his performance, like as far as like if we're going to talk about a movie as like a big mixture of components, right? There's the acting and everything. His performance might be the like the hot sauce or the salt level. Like it's something that some people just can't get past, and then something that other people love it because of, and then other people are like, oh, this is a great part of this thing, right? And like I think like Ben obviously likes it a little bit more than I do. I think it's good for the movie. Lisa doesn't like it at all, and
Like,
Matt's
too
like,
much
where's
salt.
Tommy Wiseau?
Yeah, exactly.
We need to substitute something else into the mixture.
Yeah, no, like I think
Yeah.
I'm totally on board for a performance that is that big, especially in a movie like this. I want it delivered by someone who can rise to the challenge and do that type of role. Like Meryl Streep. If Meryl was Colonel Tom,
Meryl should have done it.
she would have been nominated. No question. Meryl should have done it.
I think you're right though. If I just like, I don't want this kind of, I think that's, you just hit the nail on the head. I don't want this kind of over the top performance from Tom Hanks.
No,
I
'cause
want
you
it
can't
from
do it.
somebody else.
Yeah,
You're right. Like
you
I
can
think
do
I
it.
think that's my problem. And in answer to your question, Ben, like if I thought that there was anything that could have been changed that would have made the movie better, you could keep everything about the character acting the same.
Mhm.
I think I would have just taken someone that I don't identify so much with being like a level-headed, nice, kind American dad. Like I want somebody, maybe not Tommy Wiseau, but more in that direction, like someone that I can buy this kookiness from. Like give me Michael Myers, then he maybe would have come off a little bit too much like Goldmember, because that's who I kept freaking thinking of during this performance was Goldmember. I just was like, oh my God.
I'm glad we got to see him play a villain, like a straight up villain. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't successful for most, I would say for most people, it's not.
He
as
was kind of a
successful
villain in
performance.
Saving Mr. Banks, but
I
No
haven't
one-
seen that.
Was
no
a
one's
villain.
prepared to talk about Walt Disney being a villain. I am.
Ooh, the truth. He was a great villain in A League of Their Own.
Oh
Nobody
yeah,
ever
yeah.
remembers that. He
Mhm.
was.
Not him as a villain in that.
He was screaming at the poor women on the
He's not the
team.
villain.
There's
He's
no
the
crying in
villain.
baseball.
I would argue, much like Bambi, the villain in League of Their Own is men. So, is man.
Just overall,
It's just
I
man.
haven't seen it. I thought like maybe there's a hunter that comes in.
No,
and
I
then-
just mean man
just,
Okay.
just
in general.
the general, yeah.
But but he fits in that role. Like he's a guy, he's a guy.
You're
But,
definitely
he's a villain
aware
in
you're
multiple
watching a
editions.
man in a suit, I think, in this movie. Like, you're watching Tom Hanks in a suit, and nobody, I think, will ever fully get past that barrier,
Yeah.
including myself, who adores this movie. I know I'm watching Tom Hanks in a suit the whole time.
yeah.
It just feels like, I think, Jeanette, you put it great, that it feels like an ingredient. I heard M. Night Shyamalan talking about that with his new movie. Or no, he was being interviewed about his new movie, but he was talking about an older movie of his, and he was talking about sodium levels and sugar levels. And he was like, the sodium, is the kind of the savor level. And
I
he's
always
like,
knew M.
that's
Night
the meat.
Shyamalan and I had the same brain.
Yeah, so you got it. But and so maybe this is too much salt or too much sugar, I think is a good way to
Yeah.
put it for
Yeah.
some people. But I just find myself kind of simultaneously like confounded and in full on admiration of such a decision, as such a bizarre, unique, kind of unforgettable decision. Even if it's always very kind of conspicuous, and like that's Tom Hanks in a prosthetic suit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring up this question because I want to know everyone's opinion on it. But how do we feel about the prosthetics and the fat suit? Like, in terms of when Alfred Molina was brought up, like, I think that's amazing. He actually has the body type. He has a similar face structure to the guy. Like, why don't you hire someone who looks like the real guy?
Yeah.
How
I
do
thought
we
the
all
same
feel
thing.
about like all of this overly made up?
Yeah,
thing?
I feel like you should always try to lean towards whatever you're looking for. If it is something that's that extreme, like maybe you should look for somebody with a little bit more presenting the body type or the facial structure that you're looking for in the first place, and then go from there. So yeah, I do think it's an odd choice to choose someone that just like doesn't have any of the features that you're looking for and just build it all on there. Ben, this might be a good time to show everybody the
I don't know if I
Yes.
should. It might
Oh
alarm
yeah,
people.
show your screen.
Because we were talking about this.
see
We were
it.
talking about this before we started recording. So These are prosthetic Tom Hanks.
Oh my gosh.
Can you see them?
So
These are
sad.
prosthetic molds of Tom Hanks's face that they made in the makeup department, and there's different ages. So these are the younger Colonel Tom Parkers. I can see if I can grab the old ones for you too. Yeah, here we
Oh
go.
my God.
Old Tom Parker might be the most disturbing. So I'm gonna bring him into the
gosh.
mix in a second here. But yeah, this is you know,
Yeah, and I'm like, how much of that is moving on his
Yeah.
and like I'm
Like-
just like boggled. Like, is he gonna wear his face and then he just makes the whole thing move?
So wild. I mean, I was all pro, like, again, I said it at the beginning, like, I wanted Austin Butler in a fat suit at the end.
Oh yeah.
But, like, I too, as in with Bitch Boutique, like, I am also generally against fat
Yeah,
suits.
if Christian Bale can do it, you mofos can do it, okay? Like,
But
I'm sorry.
like,
Like
I also,
Christian's there. He puts in the hard yards.
But you guys said you wanted Brendan Fraser from The Whale to win, and he's wearing a
Yeah, but-
fat suit that makes him
Yeah.
600
But
pounds.
I know.
That is intrinsic to his story, though,
It's
right?
intrinsic to
But
his
how
story.
is
like-
this not
like-
intrinsic to the
but that's-
Colonel's story?
That's why I like you pointing out with the blocking, and I hadn't really noticed it. Like his form and his profile and everything does make a big difference. Like they shoot him from behind a lot of times, and they show his build. And I think yes, in that effect, it was like. But I think what Lisa and I are saying, like we all said, like it would just be nice if maybe we got somebody that this was a little bit more
Naturally
direction
built that way? you
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
I see.
who was in a fat body or was closer in that likeness. And in
Mhm.
terms of like that whole blocking, what you're saying, Ben, of like how he was positioned throughout the movie, it was very evident to me that like Tom Hanks has never lived in a fat body before. So he was not like, even though he
Right.
looked fat, he was not embodying what that it like is on like a skeletal muscular level. And yes, Brendan Fraser is now a larger man, and he did wear a prosthetic fat suit for The Whale, which I haven't seen yet, but he does know how it is to be in a larger body.
Well, and
And
he's
so,
very
again, I'm still very pro
he's a
Austin
big
Butler
guy.
being a fat suit. I think having a larger man play Tom would have been a really interesting take and would have elevated that whole menacing kind of foreboding energy that you're getting at what they did with Tom Hanks. Yeah, I don't know. I also heard of like there was a discussion with a director and actor, I don't remember who, but they were talking about how when you put on so much prosthetics and makeup and costume on an actor, how it actually takes away from the acting of it all, because you're actually having to act through it all.
Yeah.
It like there's just so much that the actor can do, because at the end of the day, it comes down to the makeup, right? Like,
But
That's
that's
the
when
makeup you're
you,
seeing.
and that's what I mean. Like, I think when we're looking at it as a performance, he didn't do well. In the movie, those choices worked. But, like, you know, like we were talking about Stellan Skarsgård in Dune. You see the makeup procedure on him for that, and he did a great job acting through it.
Yeah.
He did a really wonderful job, and he's just good at it. He's done creature acting before, and I think honestly, on an
knows
acting
his
level, there's no
physicality.
difference between being covered in barnacles in Pirates of the Caribbean and putting on whatever kind of crazy suit that was on him in Dune. For him, he
it was
still
that,
has to-
yeah, that
he
was
has
his
to be
craft.
acting through it.
Yeah. Well said. You know, and I think the difference also with Austin Butler is that Austin in fat suit, hashtag put Austin in a fat suit, that's like just one component of the whole journey of the character. So I feel like that's a case where it would be justified and almost necessitated for him, like, and he was, but for him to be even more in a bigger fat suit just to be more authentic to what Elvis's life experience was. And because he's playing Elvis from start to finish, as opposed to the choice to put Tom in a fat suit, like that character could have existed not in the fat suit. He could have existed as another actor who was just naturally, like you said, Lisa, like closer to the body type. So yeah, I feel like fat suits are, I'm not 100% anti-fat suit, but I think there needs to be a purpose, and it needs to not just be about the fat suit. And I think Tom's performance was more about, let's put Tom Hanks in a fat suit. Like in the case of The Whale, I think that's, and I haven't seen it, so I don't know, but I feel like that's a role where you cast it for the actor who's going to give you the performance that you need for that role. And if they aren't physically what you need, then you take the measures that you need to get that actor on screen in that role. And if that's a fat suit, then that is what it is. Like, it would be nice to open it up to bigger actors that are closer to that role physically, that like could use that boost in their career. But like, Hollywood is a business, and they wouldn't put an actor that's not like a Brandon Fraser in that role. So I think that's kind of what the discourse is surrounding the controversy, partially with that movie, because they're just saying there are so many like plus size bigger actors, queer actors specifically, who could have like been more truthful and could have been a better fit for this role. But then also Hollywood is a business, so
Hollywood
it is what
is
it
Hollywood.
is. Yeah, so it's a weird gray zone, but I don't think fat suit or no fat suit, I never would have liked Tom in this role. So there it is.
Tom. Oh, Tom Hanks. He needs a redeeming role.
No, he has his Oscar. He can just let him retire, let him produce stuff with Rita. Just let's get the Rita Wilson renaissance going. I want more Rita Wilson in movies. Yes. So there it is. But I had another thing I wanted to ask. Oh yeah, so we kind of have been touching on this, but is Baz Luhrmann nominated for Best Director? Because I feel
He's
like
not.
he might be. He's not.
No.
Okay.
The film's nominated for Best Picture, but he didn't get a director nomination.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about the direction anyway, because he's such a divisive director. And again, I usually very much dislike his movies, and I didn't mind this one. So just what are our thoughts on Baz as a director? Why are his movies the way they are? That's just the question I want to throw out into the universe. Why are they so operatic and so much?
Well, I don't know if you've looked at Baz Luhrmann, but
he looks like his movies.
Does he look like that kind of guy?
He looks like he reminds me of, God, what's the actor's name? Really famous actor, that plays the older guy in Boogie Nights. Burt Reynolds. Is it Burt Reynolds in Boogie Nights? Yeah, he reminds me of Burt Reynolds' character in Boogie Nights. Is what Baz Luhrmann modernly reminds me of.
There it is.
But he's got that Australian accent, which I want to bring up Australians for a bit at some point too, which I'm sure we'll get to, because this whole movie was shot in Australia, and so you have a lot of like Australian accents that kind of peek through with like bit parts, but that's not what you're asking. But but he's got that Australian, so he's like, oh yeah, Elvis. He talks about Elvis when he's doing interviews about it. I think it's such a good question, Matt, because like you, I was like, I don't normally align with his sensibilities. I find them kind of like sensory overload. And this movie sensory overload too, right? For some people. And that's fair. For some reason, the sensory overload of this one just felt right. Like it felt very considered, and it felt like it was illuminating sort of.
It's about a rock star.
Yeah, exactly. And so his rhythm really kind of clicked, and it worked. I think he loves that kind of musical sphere. Like even Strictly Ballroom is like, I've only ever liked Strictly Ballroom, which I've seen once, which I think is his first movie and probably his most like sort of restrained movie. And then Romeo and Juliet I have some affection for too. But I think with this, it just felt like he captures that kind of propulsive feeling of like moving through time. Does beautiful stuff to me with the editing where you're seeing stuff very early on that's relevant much later. And the split screen stuff, I think, has some fascinating ideas where like he'll toss a guitar to someone over 3 different frames in sort of a continuous motion. It's just, there's like, I don't know what it is. It just felt like there was something about this subject matter and about his sensibilities that clicked in a way that I wasn't anticipating. And I also want to ask this too, if it's not too far off kind of the idea of Baz in general, but in Great Gatsby, which is a movie that I didn't click with, Matt, there's a similar thing here with Elvis where he's kind of contemporizing the music, right? He's taking the music of the time and making it modern. And in Gatsby, I found it kind of grating. And in this, I found it like electrifying. Like I was like, you are giving me the feeling of what it felt like for this guy to wiggle his hips and change America. Like it felt like his kind of penchant for taking music and making it modern was, I think, a huge benefit to this movie, especially when we look at overall kind of the themes of it and about sort of how people kind of burn out in the spotlight. These very talented people become exploited, you know? I mean, you can't help but think about someone like Britney Spears when watching Elvis. And I don't think there's a mistake that there's a Viva Las Vegas toxic mashup in the movie when they're saying Elvis's life is a big Hollywood movie.
Well, and she has a Vegas show, or had a Vegas show,
And I think that's a brilliant thing for Baz to kind of, I just feel like it's all like it clicks in a way that for me in the past, at least, it never did.
I think it works brilliantly in this movie. And like, that was something that I wanted to address or talk about, was just that fusion of contemporary music with music of the era. And like, again, I only saw Gatsby once straight through when it was in theaters, but from what I recall, I feel like in Gatsby, the contemporary music is drawing more attention to itself, and it's meant to be this cool like anachronistic thing, which I adore just as a personal preference, whereas in this it just flows so beautifully, and like it just feels like it's not drawing attention to itself, it's just there to support what's happening in like all the ways that you said, Ben. And you're holding a cat, and so
I'm so sorry.
No, never apologize for the cat. But no, there was even a moment, I think I watched it both times I watched it was with my mom, once in theaters, then just once on demand. And then I think over the credits, they started playing a rap song. And then she said, "Oh, why is this here? This has nothing to do with the movie." I was like, "No, there was rap music all throughout the movie."
Yeah, Mother? And that rap song uses, and they did do that, but that one has samples of like so many of his songs worked into the background of it. Because I thought it came on, and I was like, "Well, that's an interesting way to end a movie about Elvis." And then I listened to it and I was like, oh, okay. So they're like kind of reverse. Instead of putting that music into his, they're taking his and putting it into modern music. I love the purr. The purr is
so good.
Are you guys hearing a purr?
Yeah.
We love it. Keep it up.
I really do love it. I really do love it. I wish
sorry.
my cats
I don't
could
want
be
it
here
to
with
be.
me right
I don't
now.
want it to be a distraction.
No, it's so good.
It's supporting. It's like the rap music in Elvis. It's supporting the action.
And it's very contradictory to how Tom Hanks's prosthetics behind you make me feel.
It's like his eyes are following me.
Yeah, it's really jarring.
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it off because it's had its moment in the sun. I'm glad we got to share it with everybody. There we go. Now we can get back to business.
Yeah, that was great. Let's get down to business.
I think in terms of Baz Luhrmann, I love Moulin Rouge, which is a different discussion, and I like Romeo and Juliet. I liked Great Gatsby. I think I don't really remember. Australia, don't even remember watching it, but I generally like, I guess, Baz Luhrmann movies because of them being so over the top. But it's still playing within the container, and so for like Romeo and Juliet, it's the container of the Shakespearean language. For Moulin Rouge, to me, it's the music that they keep coming back to, and why I love it so much. I don't know. I'm so sorry to be a downer, but like I didn't feel like there was any container for the direction in Elvis. And I think again it has to do in terms with how I took in the editing of it all. Like what really bothered me a lot of the times was like the montages with like the newsreels or like the images. Like it did feel like a 3-hour long music video at some points. And that's not what I wanted for an Elvis biopic.
Exactly. I think maybe you're okay with that in Moulin Rouge, because it's I think when you hear biopic, right? Like you hear this is a thing about a real person and we're going to tell at least a mostly true story.
Yeah.
His style for that choice can be kind of like weird to some people, right? Like Moulin Rouge and like Romeo and Juliet for all, I mean, like, sure, we're supposed to view it like, but it is fiction. Like we're supposed to feel like, oh, you know,
100%.
whatever you read that it's set in those times and that's what you envision. But it works fine because it's still fiction, even though it's a thing you have a preconceived notion about.
Exactly.
I think when you took his style and implemented it, because to my knowledge, this is his first true story movie.
I think Australia was a true story. I don't remember.
Well,
feel like- I don't
that's
think
Baz
any-
Moulin
Luhrmann
Rouge was a
and
true
Nicole
story.
Kidman, so I'm certainly not
It's a
gonna.
stinging
That's
moon.
not gonna happen.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's true. And I think because how I was approaching the movie and knowing like the fanfare of Elvis from my dad and other fanatics in my life, seeing like the headlines and like all of the bedazzle, if that's a word, I was like, okay, like that's how I know of Elvis. Like I wanted to get something else from the movie that I don't already get. So I feel a little cheated on as a viewer. And I think I'll like this might be a very polarizing opinion, but I didn't like the modernization of the music. I love like Doja Cat's Vegas, like that Hound Dog remix is amazing. But in the movie, I was like, what are they doing? Like they're doing already so much. They're adding in this modern element when they're already like doing the prism thing with the manager, and then like it was just a lot. And
It's a lot, and I think
overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed, and it was like I wanted a stripped down version of Elvis.
Mhm.
So much to say, I wanted like a Nicole Kidman, Lucille Ball version of Elvis.
No,
Shocking, I know.
Don't wish that on the world. We don't need
I
the Aaron
know.
Sorkin Elvis movie.
This is shocking.
it would
I
just
know.
be
But,
Elvis
like,
owning people. Aaron Sorkin
Yeah.
loves when people own people, and so it would be Elvis being like, "I got you," and then the Colonel being like, "Oh," and we'd feel great.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just wanted bare bones, like no makeup Elvis. And I think I realized that that's not what I was going to get like at the beginning of the movie, where the Colonel is talking about like how Elvis looks, and it's like he's wearing makeup and he has like his costume on and his hairs, and I'm like, okay, we're in this, and I'm not going to get what I want. So yeah,
I feel
it would be cool from another director's vision, I think.
Oh, but it would be a completely different movie. Like it wouldn't be this kind of unique sort of like gem to me that it is. But I think it would be something much more conventional. I just love that that this movie, you know, I do get a feeling of empathy for Elvis, but I love that it's really, to me, kind of, if we want to talk about maybe the container, for me, it's maybe that the container for the movie, the thrust of the movie, is really how Elvis reflected the culture back at itself, how he became somewhat emblematic, even though he was an individual, of kind of where America was at through the decades that he was performing. I think that we get a really good job of, or I think that Baz does a really effective job of letting us kind of experience, you know, the changing kind of explosive times that America was in, sort of through how we saw Elvis Presley as an icon. And I think the sadness comes from how, because we're seeing it through the Colonel's perspective, that it is really through Elvis as a spectacle, as a commodity, as a product that we consumed. And knowing that, you know, the real tension there was that he was a person, and that he was, I think, even in some ways very unknowable even to the people who were closest to him and who loved him the most, and that they couldn't quite get through to him in the ways that maybe they wanted to. I think that's where Baz succeeded for me, is that it takes he takes a completely different approach, and he kind of anchors culture and time sort of onto this icon. And you know, I think for some people that's more successful or less successful, but to me it was really effective and really, really unusual.
I'm sorry, I just love your cat on your shoulder.
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like,
this is Abby. She
Abby
I love
looks
Abby.
so comfortable right now. I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't get her little face.
she's a bit of a shoulder cat, this one.
Yeah, I too have a shoulder cat.
Yeah.
My
I have
marshmallow.
never had a shoulder cat. I've probably had close to 10 cats in my lifetime. Never a shoulder cat.
You need to get a
They
shoulder
are
cat.
rare.
I know. I know.
No,
I'm
yeah,
very blessed.
I get what you're saying, Ben, about like what Baz did. Yeah, I guess
He's a flavor. He's a flavor.
flavor.
And,
He's a
he's a
flavor.
flavor, and I think he's a flavor for the types of movies that he's done. Because like clearly, like they're like between the four of us, like Moulin Rouge is very polarized.
we all have one that we like the most.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah. I wonder. My dad hasn't watched it, and I want him to watch it to see his opinion, because I wonder if he'll like love that exploration of like the culture and the times, because he was closer in history to that time, or if he is of my opinion of like craving, like I want to know the real guy, I want to know the real man.
But I wonder if any of us could. Like, I almost feel like that's part of the thesis, is like none of us could really know him.
You know, I think that's like what I was saying about the Maryland conflict, I'll call it, where certain people like this, like it's impossible to, I feel, totally know them or get into their headspace. So I question if the movie would work for me if it was closer to Elvis's personal narrative, because I do think part of the reason that this is a Baz movie that I enjoy is because of that distance. Like, it somehow makes Elvis more humanized for me, in that I still have that level of like mystique. There's still a bit of a separation where I can just not think you are Elvis, but you are Elvis.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get that. I think, like, I remember Priscilla Presley and Lisa Marie like having their interviews like with Oprah, and like the question of like your ex-husband and like your dad, and I was always like, so like, ooh, they knew him, like they have memories of him, and those were the stories that I was always gravitating towards, instead of like the fanatics of it all that we like see at the beginning of the movie with like all the girls swooning, which is something I'd like to talk about. But I think it's a big balance of, you can really never know someone who was just that big and that famous, right? So yeah.
I also wonder if there's a difference in perspective as a Canadian viewer versus an American viewer. Like, I know it's hard to just say, Jeanette, what's it like for you as an American watching this movie? Because I couldn't really answer that to say, what's it like as a Canadian watching? But I do feel like there must be some kind of subconscious viewing experience that's different, having raised in.
I think you're raised to understand that Elvis is part of not just American culture, but embodies American culture. Like, you are raised like he is an American symbol. He is part of why we are who we are now. At least in my generation, it was like that was the beginning of rock and roll. That was, you know, like the beginning of a lot of things, the beginning of celebrity, like part of the, like there were celebrities, but really, honestly, arguably, inarguably, like I really feel like he's the first real rock star, like actual star, like the things that we count as being a rock star are there and accounted for. But yeah, as far as an American viewpoint, I do think you are raised to believe that this is pretty much on the level of the Star Spangled Banner and apple pie. Like, Elvis is America. So yeah, there is that.
I also want to mention that I think that the movie does, and some people might disagree with this, I think very fairly, but for me, it felt like a very balanced, very even portrayal also of his influences, where I think a lot of people have issue with Elvis being like, well, did he steal, and just kind of like repackage things with white face, and they kind of like play. I love the moment they play up where he's like, he's white, like it's so over the top, but like I think it's like so pitch perfect for the movie. And I think that they handle it very effectively, because you get these extended performances of black musicians, black singers.
That scene of him in the church is freaking That's one of my favorite scenes in the
Yeah.
whole movie. Him and that 10
Yeah.
revival is
That it's incredible, and they let these performances play out, and the movie doesn't like try to tip it one way or the other. As like, is Elvis just kind of a thief, or is he like, was he rooted in this because he grew up in this culture? Yeah. And I just like, and I like that Baz spotlights some of these musicians and lets them sing. I think that also really adds to the totality of not just Elvis and who he was as a person, but also that American story that Baz is trying to tell about music and about culture. I think that he handles that personally. I think he handles it very well. But
I totally agree with you, Ben. Like because of how I know Elvis and like the discord about him stealing music, it has been like so like Elvis was an evil person, and I don't know him, so I can't say that. But in terms of the influence that he had, he grew up around that music, and he benefited from being a white man and being talented enough to make that music popular. And like that, he benefited from the system. Like
But he did open doors for people after that. He didn't close the door behind him, like and that the movie showed that too.
Which is like so good, because it would have been very easy for them to just negate that and not show his influence,
or to say it was too uncomfortable and not touch on it at all. Really,
exactly.
Right? Yeah, I just thought it was handled really, really well, and
another
it also
really tasteful in this movie.
Yeah, and seeing Little Richard made me really excited too.
Oh my god, that was an amazing moment.
So, but I don't think that's actually the actor singing.
He sings the hell out of the song. That's what he says.
Really, whoever sang it, but was amazing. But that performance from that actor was wild.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god.
So good.
So good.
Yeah. Yes. So before we go to the game, just a quick go around. What was, I don't want to say everyone's favorite moment, but what was a moment that you found particularly impactful, whether it was for good reasons or bad reasons, just something that made you feel something? What was a moment in the movie that made you feel something? And what was that thing that you felt?
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go.
So besides that edit that I talked about, that cut to the real Elvis at the very end, which I that was the moment that rattled in my brain. This is the kind of moment in the movie that it's like, it's as subtle as a sledgehammer, and this is a big reason why I normally can't stand Baz, but I just thought worked so beautifully here, is the Suspicious Minds sequence in Vegas, where he's singing Suspicious Minds and he's singing, I'm caught in a trap, I can't get out. And you got Hanks and the hotel owner writing the deal on the napkin.
Yeah.
And it's basically like sealing his fate for the rest of his life, that he's going to be stuck in this, as he describes it, golden cage later on in the movie. It is a very blunt sequence, but it's edited and performed, I think, so brilliantly, and really also heightened my appreciation for that song. I just love how he shot it. You get these snap zooms where he's like moving his hips and it's like snapping into Austin Butler. I think that's a real highlight of the movie for me.
Nicely said. Jeanette?
I said the tent revival one. That one was like the first scene in the movie where I was just really in a rush of emotion. The music really hit me. Like obviously music's a big part of this movie, but music in general will just send me over the edge for certain things. So that one. And then I think just because it's a thing that I've heard about like my whole life, and I know Lisa said she wanted to touch on it, but the scene where the girls start reacting, but my whole life I had heard that story about how like it literally was a physical reaction and these women just couldn't help themselves, and like that was why he was labeled that way, because like these women were just passing out and they were like screaming. And again, that's where I get like he's the first rock star. That reaction was then expected of any good rock star. That's the reaction you should elicit. And who was the first person that did it? Him. So I like that scene.
Lisa?
Yes. Speaking on that scene, it wasn't like an excited reaction. It was more of like, oh my God, this is like lewd. That was the reaction I had from it. But I mean, I think it was that overly dramatic capture of how people were responding to Elvis. And I think that was very like of Baz's kind of direction. Like it was so over the top, but also like not over the top. Like that is how women were reacting to Elvis.
Yeah.
And I don't quite understand that. I don't normally have those reactions to rock stars or like my favorite artists, but fair. But I think it's something worth noting because it was like such such a cultural thing that happened in American history. That's what happened with Elvis. That's what happened with the Beatles. It's very iconic. I think my favorite moment in the film would be, it's so funny because like when she first came on screen, I was like, oh, she is nothing like Priscilla. Like the actor who played Priscilla at first, I was like, oh, they just put a pretty girl in makeup. This does not look like her. But her acting in those scenes, like the scene with him in the car at the end and the breakup, just gorgeous. Like it was so gorgeous. And it was the stripped down moments that I was wanting. So I think I'm biasly saying that those were my favorite. But that actor, Olivia
Dijon, I think.
Dijon? Yeah.
I hope I'm saying that right.
Phenomenal. I want to see more of her. Like that, I think she did a beautiful, grounded job, and her chemistry with Austin was great. Yeah, it was great.
Lisa,
those were my favorite.
Did you know that we're getting a Priscilla movie?
I've heard of this, and then I was like, "Is it Priscilla the musical?"
No. It's based on
Priscilla Queen of the
Presley's
Desert?
biography.
Yeah, I was like, is it Priscilla Queen of the Desert?
Yeah, we're getting a Priscilla Presley movie. It's based
Oh,
on her
wow.
biography. It's a Sofia Coppola movie.
Oh,
And they shot it in Toronto, Matt, last winter or fall and winter.
I'm really
So
interested in that.
it has
Oh my God.
Jacob Elordi is playing Elvis from Euphoria. I don't know if you've seen Euphoria.
Jacob, who what character is
He's
he?
also in the movie The Kissing Booth, I think. I'm pretty sure. He's a tall brunette guy. My feeling is that I was talking to my girlfriend about this, and she was like, you know what would be great is if it's like Marie Antoinette, but it's all Priscilla, and like you get little glimpses of Elvis, and it's like, you know, it's like her. She's like Graceland is her Versailles.
If they're smart, they wouldn't put that guy in that too much because good luck to anyone else who ever plays
exactly.
Elvis ever again.
I'm with you.
No, I also feel like those types of movies, they land so much better if the more prominent historical figure is just very sparingly in it.
Yes.
Like the
Yeah.
Jackie Kennedy movie with what's her face with
Natalie
Portman.
Yeah.
I feel like JFK was in it like maybe just one scene, and that was just enough, and that was perfect. Yeah, because that's all you need.
I do. Okay, before we move on to the game, the whole relationship with his mom was the most uncomfortable thing, even more uncomfortable than Tom Hanks, in my opinion. Like, so we have that like orgasmic scene with all the girls like just like climaxing in the audience. And then it's like, oh my baby, they're gonna steal you away from me, and like her calling him booby and all.
You got the strength of two men, booby.
I was just like, this is like two, like this. She is such a mom, like a boy mom, that it's like not okay. This is like almost crossing the line.
I'm sure you felt what they wanted you to feel then, because that was,
oh man, I was like, yikes. But also I didn't understand because she was also
I believe it.
Yeah, I believe it too, but like it also didn't make any sense because he was living with his girlfriend in their parents' home at the time. So I'm like, did she feel that way about his girlfriend?
I think we were supposed to see like his mom and Priscilla, at least in this movie, seemed to get along fine. They were together at his performances, and they all lived in the house.
Didn't his mom die before?
Oh, who was with him? Maybe it was just Priscilla.
It was that first girlfriend that he had at the beginning of the movie.
The one that he breaks up with because he can't have a girlfriend.
Yeah,
I can't have a girl. Colonel says I can't have a girl.
I was like, wow, this is a real T Swift moment.
she's devastated too. She's so upset. She's like, Colonel says I can't have a girl.
Oh, I thought you meant Taylor Swift was devastated.
I know. I was like, I don't care.
What now?
I don't.
Oh, I can't stand her. That's another conversation.
That's another conversation for another time.
Another time, but like, don't weaponize your fans. That's all I'm gonna say to Taylor if she's ever watching. Actually, no, Taylor.
I've heard she loves the show.
Don't send them on me, Taylor. Don't send them on me. I can't handle the Swifties. Okay. So for the game, here we go. It's a combination of charades and la-las, doo-doos, and hums. Everyone's favorite. Yes. So one at a time.
Ben is confused about Lala's.
I don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, Ben, you're gonna be a star. Don't worry.
Okay, all right.
So Lala's Doo-Doos and Hums is basically just name that tune where I show you the name of a song and then you have to hum it and the others have to guess what the song is.
Okay.
So you can use Lala's Doo-Doos and Hums, or hums as well.
Okay. Anything you want there. So I'm going to show you, when it's your turn, I'm going to show you the title of an Elvis song. You have the option to either La Doo-Doo or hum it, or if you don't know the melody, you can charade it. Okay. So if you just see the title, if you don't know what the song sounds like, just charade the title out. You'll have 45
and we're going to write our answers down. Don't shout them out.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So Ben, when you're guessing, write down your answer or what you think it is. Don't shout it out. And then when the 45 seconds is up, the two guessers will show what their guesses are. If you get it right, you get a point. And if you're the performer, you get 1 point for every person who guesses correctly.
Okay.
I'm nervous.
I'm ready.
It's going to be so much fun. Okay. Jeanette, you're going to go first. You're going to go first. So I need Ben and Lisa, cover your eyes, please. Okay. This is your Elvis song.
Okay, hold on. Oh my God. Why? Like, I know this song and now I can't think of it.
I believe you. And your time starts now.
Okay.
Do we look?
Yeah, you can look.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna sorry, I'm like trying to figure out how I could charade it because now I can't think of the melody.
You got this. You got this.
Okay, I'm gonna charade it. Okay, so
Avatar.
Bass. Blue Christmas.
Blue Christmas. Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was supposed to write that down.
Yeah, we're not supposed
to. Hold on. I got another one. Here.
Blue.
Okay, show your answer. Show your answers.
Wait, I'm writing it down.
Shoes.
Let's get some shoes. Is that how you're supposed to swing?
Yes.
Okay, you both got it.
Thanks.
Oh God.
Sorry.
My heart's racing.
Right? Okay. Lisa, it's your turn.
Oh my God, I'm so nervous. Thank God my dad's not watching. Okay, can I do a combination of charades and doo-doos?
I'm curious to see what that looks like. So sure. Your time starts now. You can look back.
Do 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 do.
Didn't we just do this one?
Isn't this do? But say,
yeah, you just remember
blue suede shoes.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Second word.
Okay.
5 seconds. Time's up. Answers, please.
Okay.
It was Jailhouse Rock.
Yeah, I get it now. I thought it was Pound. I was like, are you
I thought Dog Pound too.
And not Hound Dog?
The fact that I conflated Blue Suede Shoes and Jailhouse Rock is
I was like, now I remember the song.
Ben, it's your turn.
Okay, cool. I get to look.
You get to look. Everyone else doesn't get to look. Here we go.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna.
Everyone, here we go. Time starts now.
I know this one.
I mean, you have 20 more seconds, but like we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Answers, please.
Hold on.
Okay.
I don't know what part of this is the actual. It's the actual title. Oh no! Hold on. I just minimized you. Okay, there you are.
Can't help.
Were they
falling in love
correct?
is correct.
Yes.
Jeanette gets
job.
the point. She knew what the song was. She knew what
Okay.
the song was. Okay. We're back to Jeanette. We're back to Jeanette.
Okay.
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 Okay. Divert your eyes. All you down there. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We can look. Ready and
Okay.
go.
That's like the only part I know, but that's. That's the only part I know, but that's the part you need to know.
I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong.
Okay.
Yep,
I didn't
that's
get
it. That's it. That's all I
Five,
got for you guys. That's all I got for
I
you.
didn't get it.
2, 1. Okay.
Oh, we both
Yeah,
went?
see, look.
Oh,
Okay, great.
yes.
Amazing.
All you need to know.
Oh,
Well
oh,
done.
man. Whew. I'm sweating over here, Matthew.
Yeah, it's heated competition.
Lisa, your turn.
Oh God. Okay. Oh my God.
Time starts now.
Do 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 do.
Okay. The fourth word, the last word.
Head.
Think
Forehead.
brain. Think brain. Thoughts? Oh. That's only you said 4 words? Okay. Okay, first word.
And that's time.
Oh, wait. I got it.
Okay, hold
I
on.
don't-
Hold on.
This is so hard. Why can
Okay.
hard ones, Matt?
Lisa, do you want to tell them what it was?
Always on my mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
I knew mine.
Always
I
on
got
You
my
knew
mine.
mine.
I
I was like,
I didn't know if I could
okay, if
dream.
they don't get it
Dream.
for my doo-doos, they're not gonna get it. I
I thought
wanted
it
to
was
say
a
like
beautiful
the commercial one, the one that they always use for commercials.
Yeah. Oh.
They always.
I mean,
use that one.
I personally think of it as a Willie Nelson song myself more than an
Yeah,
Elvis
me
song.
too.
That's true. Yeah.
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 Anyway, Ben, it's your turn.
All right. Let's go. Let's do
Okay,
it.
here we go.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, and time starts now. Jeanette's crying.
So easy, Matt.
I want to give oh, Lisa's got it. I wanted to give you like a really bad clue and be like, think of pottery wheels.
I was really hoping Ben was going to just like.
Yeah.
Here, let's see our answers.
Yeah.
It is Unchanged Melody.
Well done. I love it. I could do this all night.
Okay.
Elvis humming.
I can do this
Elvis
all
humming.
day. I hear that. I just think of the Captain America musical. All right.
Are there more?
Oh, there's more.
Okay.
There's
okay.
three more? Wait, there's supposed to be 10. Oh no, there's 4 more. There's 4 more.
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go. Jeanette, it's you again.
Okay.
All right. And time starts now.
Ba ba ba. Ooh. Ooh. Ah. Ba 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 boo. Ooh. Eh. Ba ba ba. There's your charade.
Oh.
There's your charade.
I'm ready.
I'm not.
Okay.
Annette,
I don't even know how to
you're a
spell it.
genius.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Answers, please.
Blue Hawaii.
Blue Hawaii.
no!
Jake Rattle. No. Jeanette, what were we looking for?
All shook up.
Oh,
shut
can you
up.
do the doo-doos again?
Ba-ba,
Is Shake,
ba-ba,
Rattle, and Roll even an
ooh,
Elvis song? I might have
I
made
don't.
it.
You gotta shake, rattle, and roll.
Yeah. Ah-da-da-da.
Yep.
I'm all shook up.
Shook up.
Sure. Here.
Yeah.
Lisa, it's your turn.
Oh,
Look
God.
away, everyone who's not Lisa. Look away.
Okay.
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 Here we go. Start.
2 words. First word.
Cry.
Okay.
Chin.
Okay.
Mhm.
Second word. Yeah.
Oh, Jeanette knows. Jeanette knows.
That's it. That's all I'm giving you.
This and this?
Yep. I got it.
I don't know.
You do know. You
I
do
do-
know. Okay, I'll sing a little
Oh,
bit.
wait. I know it. I didn't know. Okay.
Do
I-
do do
Five.
do.
I know it.
Do do
Yes.
do.
Yes.
Do do do
Yeah.
do do
Oh,
do do
it's just-
do
yes.
do.
Oh, I kept going like chin head. Like, oh.
This is supposed to be suspicious.
Chinhead. Yes, this is a distant relative of Pinhead. It's Chinhead.
Chinhead.
Gosh. Okay, Ben, you're up.
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
do it.
I'm trying to think. What will I be more entertained to
Oh.
hear, Ben? Okay, this one.
Okay.
Okay, and time starts now.
Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
There's your charade.
Wait, do the charade again.
Can you do again?
Do 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 do.
And the charade. Add it.
Do 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 do.
Amazing. Fantastic.
All right. Answers, please.
Do.
Yes, of course
Yeah.
it's Viva Las Vegas.
I just saw the movie Viva Las Vegas last month for the first time. People
How is
die
it?
in that movie, and it's like
What?
treated like nothing. Yeah.
Does Elvis die?
No, he's
of course
fine.
Elvis doesn't die. Okay.
That's good.
Final round
Yeah.
or final question before we move to the bonus round. It's Jeanette. Everyone else, divert your eyes.
Okay.
And time starts now.
Oh. Do you have a charade for us?
I'd love to see one.
Sure.
Yeah. Now I know it.
I was trying to see if I had a doll.
Backing
I
it
was like,
away.
Okay, time's up. Let's see the answers. I'll bet you do
Yay.
a diagram.
Woof woof.
He's pretty good. I love when the hound dog shows up in the movie and
Yes.
Elvis is like, "Oh, why did they tell me we were going to do a skit? I could have made it funny."
Yeah. Oh my god, that part was hilarious.
Funny.
I could have made it funny.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Kristen's here.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
I'm glad you could make it for this too. Okay.
Yeah.
Bonus round. You all get to wager however many points you want. It's pretty close. Jeanette and Ben both have 10. Lisa has 9. How many points would we all like to wager? It's Jeopardy style. So
All
you
in.
can-
All in.
Okay.
All
All
10.
in.
Toto,
We're all-
yes.
we're all in. Okay, here we go. This is a question where you just write down your answer based on a clue I'm going to give you, which
Okay.
is not a clue, a question I'm going to ask you. Here we are. What was Elvis's first feature-length film? Hint, the title of the movie is also the title of one of his songs.
Okay.
First feature length movie.
Yes. Reportedly, there were riots because he originally died at the end of this movie, and then they had to like make a new ending so he didn't die.
I don't know it.
Okay.
Ben, are you calling a friend?
No, I'm not
got
calling a
two
friend. I wrote
thoughts.
my answer down. I put my pen down. I feel 50% sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm there with you. I got two answers in my head. And this is one of them.
Oh, there's no timer. So just tell me when you all have an answer.
I'm ready. Ben's ready.
Ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, and I would like you to give your answers in the form of humming the song that you think it is.
Oh,
Uh,
Yes, we'll start with Jeanette.
I don't know this song.
I don't know the song.
I'll give you one of my original clues. It's blue.
Blue.
Okay.
It's Blue Hawaii.
Blue Hawaii.
I wonder
Yeah,
if
there we
that's
go.
it.
Song?
That's
Is
my
that
answer.
Okay, okay.
It's blue white.
Lisa.
I don't know how the song goes very well.
Can you charade it though?
Yeah.
No, is it? No. Okay, I'll charade it.
Okay. Heart.
Oh,
Love you.
Heart, love you.
Hug.
Heartbreak
Huggy.
Hotel.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna say Heartbreak Hotel.
No.
Or
Four
heart.
words.
Sorry. So
Three words. First word.
4 syllables. No.
Four
letters?
Okay.
Okay.
Love.
Love.
Second
2.
word.
Oh, love. Can I guess?
Yeah.
Love me tender.
yeah,
Okay, one guess for Love Me Tender. Ben?
that's it.
I don't know, but I'm gonna go. That
That was my other guess.
Ooh, Anna claimed. Anna! Put in your guess, Anna. Well, I will say one of you got it. So I want to see if Anna actually knows and if Anna will reveal to us what the true
Anna,
answer
tell
is.
us. What do you know?
What is it?
What is
Okay, she's
it?
guessing Jailhouse Rock 2.
Is Anna
Oh,
right?
oh, Anna's wrong. It was Love Me Tender.
Oh!
I think that's like the only one he dies in. That's what gave it away.
Oh yeah.
I just
I haven't
figured because
seen
he was
it.
getting in trouble.
Yeah,
It sounded like that maybe it involved a jail.
yeah,
I don't
that makes
know.
sense.
Oh,
that makes
yeah,
sense. Then
yeah.
he
If you're
was.
for trouble,
Yeah.
you've come to the right place.
Ooh, Ben, you could do a good Elvis.
Yeah.
I forgot how. Actually, I didn't forget. I adore how Ben brings in the accents. I still remember the House of Gucci last year. It was so good.
Oh yeah, I don't
Yes.
even remember what we did.
I don't recall, but I feel like there were some good House of Gucci
There's some
accents
good
coming
House of
from
Gucci.
Ben.
Oh.
Yes, father son.
I
House
still
of
have to
Gucci.
see that.
It's not as fun as it should be. In my
That's all
opinion.
right. It's
It should
Adam
be more
Driver
fun.
and Lady Gaga. That's really all I
That's
need.
true.
That's all I care about.
They're both there, and you get plenty of them.
Yeah.
Who can ask for anything more? All right, there we go.
I don't know.
Any
Jeanette and I
closing
ended with
thoughts on
0.
Elvis? What?
Closing thoughts on Elvis.
Yeah, closing thoughts on Elvis.
So I think everybody should give it a chance. That's my closing thought on Elvis. I think that it's like Ben said at the beginning. We got polarized, mixed messages. I think going into this movie, and it is a polarizing movie because it is a very strong flavor. So I think everybody should give it a shot.
After this discussion, it is not as bad as Peter Pan 2000.
Yes.
Yay!
And you have
Yes.
made me see a little bit of the light. I still am on the nay side, but yeah, give it a try if you like Elvis. It's not going to hurt. My final thought is I love Frank Costanza as Elvis's dad. That's my final thought.
Nicely said.
Another very Australian kind of guy. I love it.
Yeah.
Like when the colonel's getting grilled by the senator, like the racist senator, and he's like, "It doesn't even look like you're from a country." Like it's like so clearly
Very
Australian because they shot the whole thing in Australia. That's where Tom Hanks got COVID. We should also mention that. Remember the day?
Oh yeah, with the
that we all-
dogs.
we all found out that Tom Hanks had COVID, and that was when everything shut down, and he was on the set of Elvis, and they were like getting it ready to shoot. Yeah, and everybody was like, Tom Hanks is playing Elvis, and thank God he didn't. In this movie.
And that's Ben's final thought. Thank God Tom Hanks didn't play Elvis.
Thank God he didn't play Elvis. My real final thought is that this movie, I think, is honestly like kind of a stealth masterpiece. Like, I honestly think it's Baz Luhrmann's best movie. I never was really aligned with his sensibilities as a filmmaker, and now I can just totally respect. Even if I don't love all of his movies, I have so much more respect for what he's doing. I just think it works so well here. I totally agree with both of you, Lisa, that it's better than Peter Pan 2009, was it? Or three? 2003.
Yeah.
And I agree with Jeanette that I think everybody should give it a chance, because you might be surprised, especially if you think you're not going to enjoy it. I think it's going to offer you an experience, and take the ride, check it out. Get it on 4K UHD if you're a big fan like I am.
Or just watch it on Crave.
Or watch it on Crave in Canada.
Yeah.
Or HBO
Max if you're in the
America.
United States.
Sorry, Kristen. I'm so sorry. It's still at the top of my dislike list.
I'm still happily indifferent to it and think it's a perfectly lovely adaptation. But that's so last year.
Yeah, it will always be my bar. Like, you gotta be above Peter Pan. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Kristen, I love it. Kristen, this is one of the few movies where the two of us agree. We both love it.
And Kristen, we haven't met, but if you love Peter Pan, I highly recommend Elvis, the Baz Luhrmann film. I feel like you're gonna love this movie.
Anybody, their movie is gonna be like, how are they the same? They're gonna think that they're the same.
They're the same. They're the same. It's about a magical boy and the power of imagination.
To fly. He was
always wanting to fly, and it's the similarities don't stop there.
Yeah.
I have nothing to add. Yes to all of the above. Thank you, everyone. It's time to sign off. Tell everyone who you are, where to find you. Okay.
Hi. So I am Tinker J. You can find me on Teacup for One. And you can find me on We Like Theme Parks podcast on the Chip and Co podcast network. And we have new episodes every Thursday.
Woo! Thank you, Jeanette.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Alves. You can follow me on Instagram at Lisa_A_Alves, where you can see all my theater shenanigans in Toronto and pictures of my cute hamsters.
Love it. Thank you, Lisa.
Hi, I'm Ben Gordon. If you don't know me, I'm Matt's friend from film school. I am available to chat with on Instagram at It's Ben Gordon. And Twitter at It's Ben Gordon. Come say hi. We'll talk Elvis.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, Matt.
Bye, Ben. And if you're watching this channel, it's my channel. Oh, wait, closing thought. Kristen, it's true. He did not fight pirates even once. Fighting piracy was for musicians in the 90s. I thought it was clever. Anyway, thank you for joining us, everyone. Join us next week when I can't remember what movie's next week. Maybe it's Pinocchio. Might be Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I think that's what it is. Maybe it's not, though. Find out next week when the show happens at the same time on the same channel. See you then. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and this has been the Teacup for One. How do I end this?